Hey guys, I am back with another video. We're going to be covering a different system than usual. We're going to be doing some Pokemon Tabletop United. We're going to be covering Dynamax rules for use in your own games, and we're going to be covering Z crystals and Z moves in the next video as well. So the actual reason I had to make these rules was a bit of a mistake on my part. Despite giving the player a large amount of penalties and an extremely low capture rate on a Pidgey that they had fought, they ended up catching this Dynamaxed Pidgey, and I couldn't just explain away the Dynamax, and I had to allow it. And I said I would allow Dynamaxing once I worked out proper rules, and the reason that Pidgey had Dynamax was a fluke due to an object relating to the encounter. And now I'm stuck here doing this. So the way Dynamax works, at least in the games, is the Pokemon becomes a massive size for 3 turns, and each of its moves do something based on the type that they were when it was not Dynamaxed. Gigantamax is its own thing. That will be in the second half of this video. Now, this isn't fully balanced, at all, and most of the moves aren't marked down for what they do. I haven't converted all Gmax or Dynamax moves unique to certain Pokemon over to PTU yet. I have a few. Basically, take it with exactly how it's written in the games, set up the equivalent move or effect in PTU, like Dreadnought setting up Stealth Rock when it uses, just using Stealth Rock after the damaging move. In terms of damage, however, every Dynamax move is the same. It runs off of damage base equivalent for a 100 to 120 power move, and that will be flat across all types. Stab applies, and any sort of hit is slightly easier. What was that? Overall, the actual statistics that change on a Pokemon is its size will increase, obviously. A Pokemon who Dynamaxes will increase based off of its original size. And I'm going to assume this is based off of square tiles. If it's a 1x1, it becomes a 4x4. So basically increase its size by roughly 3. If it's already like a 5x5 or something similar, cap it at 8x8. But really, this is kind of theoretical. In size, you can kind of set it how you want, but the basic idea is that the Pokemon will get a lot bigger. All of its moves change to max moves. All of its G-Max moves given special effects. Any non-damaging move becomes max guard, as usual. And the way it runs is pretty much the same as standard Dynamaxing. Starfall, Lightning, Mindstorm, and Overgrowth all cause the associated terrain types. Flare, Geyser, Rockfall, and Hailstorm all cause the associated weather. Max Guard will block everything. The decreasing moves are Darkness, Wormwind, Phantasm, Flutterby, and Max Strike. And those will be on the screen for what they drop if you don't know them already. Steel Spike, Quake, Ooze, Airstream, and Knuckle all increase stats, which will be also on the screen in a moment. If a move for Gmax things causes damage of some kind, such as Gmax Wildfire, it will deal 1 tick of health for a random number of turns. It says 5 in, what is that noise? Official Pokemon, but I figure that would be unfair, so I'm going to say 1d6 turns on any given long-term effect such as Wildfire, Vine Lash, or Cannonade. Any moves that have like a randomized effect, such as setting up Burn, Freeze, or something like that, such as Butterfree, causing status effects. Again, roll a d6, and on the screen will be Paralysis, Poison, and Sleep, and what numbers are associated with each of them. In terms of when and where to use Dynamax, like the games, that'll be based off power spots, so you can't just Dynamax wherever. Power spots will typically be built on things like gyms, important locations, maybe a boss is located in one. Now, in terms of actual statistical modifiers, besides the size, the Pokemon speed is cut in half. Because of how big it is, I think it would be fair that it slows down. It's got a lot more size to work with, so it can't move all that weight as well as it did when it was small. In addition, the Pokemon will not double its HP. Instead, it will gain a number of temporary hit points equal to its Dynamax level. These Dynamax hit points will go away immediately after the transition back to regular size, and if they're lost, they don't recover for any reason. You cannot Dynamax more than one Pokemon per battle, per scene, as usual, and that only lasts for 3 rounds, with the exception of bosses, but I will cover that at the very end of the video because I think that's something that needs to be talked about a little more in depth. Now, with the HP, it's going to scale. Dynamax is going to have a level similar to the game, so it's not going to go the same way. It's from 1 to 5. This level scales based off your Pokemon's level, with an exception. When a Pokemon gains a Dynamax factor, it'll always be Dynamax level 1. This can be increased using Dynamax Candy or other methods of increasing Dynamax level that exist in the games. I haven't played enough Gen 8 to know all of them, but they all would work the same way. And it gains a number of temporary hit points equal to its Dynamax level times, at least at the moment, I've set it to 20. And you can't rush a level. Dynamax level only increases off of thresholds of every 20 levels. So if a Pokemon at level 22 gains a Dynamax factor, it'll be level 1. At 40, it'll become level 2. At 60, it'll become level 3, and so on and so forth. You can artificially increase them or give a Pokemon a Dynamax factor with candies and other methods, but you can't increase it beyond how many stages it is possible to have. It's kind of like a cap on potential. Now, the other rule is only up 2 Pokemon can Dynamax, and these only can Dynamax on trainer turns, not Pokemon turns. The reason I say this is because the trainer has to physically initiate the Dynamax, so the Dynamax itself will not trigger until that point. So if your trainer doesn't go first, then you might be out of luck. Now, if it's a league battle where the trainer speed doesn't matter, work off the Pokemon speed. But if it's a wild battle or against like a chaotic group, like a Team Rocket battle with like 5 opponents, it's just based off trainer speed. So that covers the basics on Dynamax. And now I'm going to go over most of the items. Alright, so the other items that get involved in Dynamax, most items stay the same. However, a few items would be added in this case because they now are usable from Dynamaxing. So first off, the Dynamax Band, which requires a Wishing Star. Using a Dynamax Band would activate Dynamax on a Pokemon. That's fairly straightforward. It works the same as a Mega Band or a Z-Ring Band or whatever. Then there is Dynamax Candy, which when you give it to a Pokemon, it'll raise the Dynamax level by 1. Or if it doesn't already have a Dynamax factor, it will give that Pokemon a Dynamax factor. There's Wishing Chips, Wishing Pieces, and Wishing Stars. So if you run raid dens of any kind, which basically would just be like a mini boss type battle with that would last up to 10 rounds, or if all of the Pokemon on the trainer side faint. So Wishing Chips and Wishing Pieces would attract Dynamax Pokemon. Wishing Pieces have a better chance at attracting stronger Pokemon. Wishing Stars are required to make a Dynamax Band, and that's about it really with those ones. Max Honey and Max Mushrooms would be part of ingredients for making Max Soup. If you get a Max Soup, it causes a Pokemon to gain a Gigantamax factor if it has the ability to Gigantamax, or if it has just a regular Dynamax capability, it would gain Dynamax factor. That's really all you get out of it. For bosses would be something where you probably want to time your boss battles, because they do not work the same compared to regular bosses. Like Dynamax Pokemon, if you're constantly Dynamax, are a lot more powerful. So they would gain a ton of advantages because weight-based moves and switch-out moves and stuff like that wouldn't work against them. And you can't set hazards up too well because they're so big. So the way I would run bosses is follow the standard boss template, but battle forcibly ends. For example, if you're in a Dynamax den, if the players lose each of their Pokemon, like if their Pokemon faints, they're just forced out of the den through wind or whatever. And then if a Pokemon is defeated while in Dynamax form as a boss, it would only be allowed to be caught after it loses Dynamax form, which would require complete defeat. Finally, in regards to power spots, really any den, if you're inside a Dynamax den, that counts as a power spot. If you're in an area that has a power spot, you'll know from the Dynamax band reacting, but it's up to the DM, or however you decide to set that, on what you do. Actually, I guess there's rewards. Whenever you defeat Dynamax Pokemon, you'd get XP candies, sometimes Dynamax candies, certain types of like the Dyna or the Amorite ore for the Isle of Armor and various stuff like that. So I guess like adding some sort of drops in would be useful as an option. Candy wise, extra small, medium, large, and extra large. So if you combine enough of them, you can make rare candies with them, but you don't really have a choice in what you get for candies at the end of a raid, so you kind of roll random on the tables within the books. But yeah, I guess that covers everything properly now. So, yeah, I am the Dice Goblin. I'm signing off. See y'all in the next one.